Okay, today I want to talk about fixing and flipping. Fixing and flipping is actually a very popular investment strategy in the real estate world today. However, because of all the shows that are out there and a lot of people talking about it, it makes it seem like it's really easy to do. And though fixing and flipping is fairly easy to do because it's just a numbers game, one of the things that you have to understand is this is also something that can break you. You want to make sure you have the right amount of money or partner with money so that you can actually get through your flip and be successful with your flip. So that being said, what I want to do is talk a little bit about some of the things that you're going to want to do when entering into the fix and flip game. The first thing that I want you to do is I want you to go and identify an area. It's what we call here in the real estate industry your farm area. It's just a specific area that you're going to get to know really well. So to give you an example, I had a farm area when I lived in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I knew the prices of those homes like the back of my hand. I mean, if it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home and it was a Hallcraft home, I knew exactly what it was worth at that time. So if something came out on the market that was $100,000 less or $30,000 less or $40,000 less, right off the bat, I knew it was a good deal. And oftentimes that happened because in this particular, in my farm area, and this is a good tip, I knew that there were older homes and a lot of the homes had not been remodeled. So I knew that there was room in there to improve the home's value. So I knew the home prices in that area. I want you to get real familiar with home prices in the area. Learn what the top of the market is selling for. Learn what the average days on market are for that area. You want to know it so that if a good deal pops up, you can jump on it right away. Or if you see a for sale by owner sign, you can call them. Sometimes owners, because they're trying to do it on their own, they may not know what they can get for their home, or they know that there's a lot of problems with their home, and so they're going to sell it for a lot less money than you could as an investor or as a very educated real estate investor. So I want you to go and pick an area, identify an area that you're going to learn, understand, and make your farm area. Now, flipping simply means buying a house at a low price, making some improvements to it, and selling it at a high price. Now, there's a couple. Here's a $1 million tip that I learned from this one guy as I was doing some flipping in Arizona when the market was just ridiculous a few years back. And at that time, I was buying homes, sinking money into them, and then selling homes. Now, back then, you could buy a house, and you really didn't have to do a whole lot to it because the market was taking it up in value. I don't know that that's the case today, at least in most markets. It might be in some markets, but this is where you need to. This is why it's important to know your market. But in this case, this guy was buying the house, and he wouldn't do anything to it for 2-3 months. The market values were going up, and then he'd just turn around, flip it, and sell it, and make a quick 10, 15, 20 grand. Very smart move on his part. I was sinking 10, 15,000 into my properties, and then turning around and trying to make a $15,000, $20,000 profit. So in essence, his strategy was a lot smarter. But what you want to do is just buy at a low price and then sell it very quickly at a high price. I know it sounds like an obvious technique, but the first hurdle is just finding the right property. If you look for your farm area, you'll find the right property. Once you know your farm area, look for homes that are a little bit more distressed. Now, here's a couple of tips on that. A lot of times people are looking just for homes that are either boarded up or that that have for sale signs on them. And one of the things you may do is, as you farm an area, just look for a house that may need a lot of repairs. And then what you can do is approach that homeowner and just ask them, say, hey, I'm looking for some properties in this neighborhood. Do you know of anyone in this neighborhood that would be willing to sell their house, or would you be interested in selling your house? Oftentimes, these individuals may say, you know what, I would totally be interested in selling my house. We've been thinking about it for a while, but it needs repairs, and I don't have the money to repair it, and so on and so forth, and they'll give you a story. And it's not going to always work, but it's a very good tip. I have gone, actually, we show up to homes sometimes that we've bought, and we'll start remodeling, and the house right next door or a few homes down or somebody inevitably will come up to us and say, hey, I'm interested in selling my house too. Would you come look at it? So that's just proof that there are people out there that would be willing to sell their house even though they don't have a for sale sign on it. So you want to look for homes that are a little bit more distressed. The obvious is the overgrown grass, obviously neglected house, empty house, boarded up homes. Those kinds of homes are very good. If they're abandoned or they're empty or they're vacant homes, those are the obvious ones that a lot of investors, especially newbie investors, will go after. those are also very good to look at. What you want to make sure, and this is where your comfort level is going to come into play here. My personal opinion is, as you start getting into the fix and flip business, don't take anything on that is going to be way over your head. That's another great story. I was we buy homes at the foreclosure auction every month, and there was these two girls that were brand new to buying homes, and they went out and bought a home, and it needed so much repair, and they were so inexperienced with it that they just sat on it, and eventually they just let it go. They just gave it up for what they had in it. Now, they could have made money, but it was just too much for them. So if you're really comfortable with your money situation, and you're really comfortable with tackling a project and understanding that project, then fine, you can go for some of the bigger stuff. But here's some of the big hurdles you're going to run into. Foundation repair. Look at a house. If you can see like obvious cracks in the homes, and in some of the future videos that I show you, I'll show you a house that has obvious foundation repair problems, so you'll know. You'll see cracks in the actual house. You'll see on the door may not look like it's centered correctly. You'll see where it's off a little bit. Like I said, I'll have some videos where I show you that. Windows may be kind of off some, but mainly you're looking for cracks in the actual home structure, and that's an obvious sign of foundation repair. Another big one is going to be your roof. You want to take a look at the roof, and if the roof looks like it's weathered or it's got pieces missing, those are going to be major repairs. I mean, we're talking, if you're really good, you know, depending on where you're at in the country, you're going to talk about a $4,000, $5,000 repair. Foundation can run you anywhere from $4,000 to $20,000 depending on what it is. So those are major repairs that'll eat at your profits. Another thing is, if you have an abandoned house, look and see if there's an AC unit. Now, I know that sounds kind of silly and crazy, and that's actually a tip that a lot of investors forget. But look and see if there's an outside AC unit. Oftentimes, especially today, people are ripping that stuff off, and especially on abandoned homes, because they can get money for that. And if you have an AC unit that's gone, I mean, I've just replaced 3, 4, 5 AC units in the past 2 months, and I spend at least $5,000 every time I do that. Well, that eats away at the profits. So you want to look for these things as you're doing your fix and flip thing. Now, after you've identified a neighborhood, you know, you go after, you find the homes that you want to target, you can make contact with your owners. That's the first thing you want to do to try to find a good deal. Get out there, beat the streets. It's what you're going to have to do to get into the game. And that's the best tip I could give you for finding your fix and flip properties. Now, you'll do your rehabs in there. On later videos, I'll talk about the rehab process. I may even have a video where I walk you through a rehab process. But do your rehab. If you can pick it up, the goal, here's how I'll finish the video here, but the goal is, if you can pick up a property for anywhere from 50 to 65 cents on the dollar, you figure in your repairs, hopefully get you up to maybe 75, 80 cents on the dollar, and then what you want to do, and this is how I sell all of my properties faster than anyone else, even in a down market, and it's a very simple formula that I use. I will make sure that I have the best product for the cheapest price. And what I mean by that is, because I'm picking my properties up at 50 to 65 cents on the dollar, and I'm putting the rehab into them and getting them to 75 cents on the dollar, I can afford to sell mine at 90 cents on the dollar, while everyone else in that market is selling theirs for 100 cents on the dollar. And my product is better because I've got new floors, and I have new paint, and I have new appliances in there, and the house looks clean and smells clean and it's fresh. That's one of my biggest secrets to success, and how I sell my properties faster. I have a better product for a cheaper price, and that always equals a better sale. If someone's looking for a property in that neighborhood, they're going to come across yours, and when they see that yours has already, you know, $10,000, $15,000 worth of work in it, everything's new and fresh, and the house down the street isn't, they're going to buy your house.